Hello, welcome to Eden's Fun Crochet. I'm Eden.
I'm Josephine.
And welcome to Vlogmas.
Eden's Fun Crochet.
Today we will be doing something a little bit different. Instead of crocheting, I'm dyeing yarn today. We will be dyeing this. It is non-superwash merino. I hypothetically know how to dye it, but I've never actually done non-superwash. So we will do our best not to felt it. I'll be doing a pot dye instead of a hand dye today. So how it'll work is I'll put my dye in here and then I'll dip it in to get that ombre effect so that it's a deeper color on the bottom and then lighter as it goes up. And I'll go about 2/3 of the way up and then do the same with the other side with a different color.
Why, Mom?
Because that's how you do an ombre, sweetie. We will be using mini skeins to test our colors. We need to start with prepping the yarn.
Yeah.
4 cups of water.
And you need this way your pies. Are you going to put your yarn in it?
Yep. So we put in 8 cups of water and some citric acid. And then before I turn it on, I'm going to add my yarn so that I'm not adding it to hot water. I'm adding it to room temperature water to prevent felting. So what this does is it's infusing the yarn with the citric acid, which will make the dyes keep. That's why they're called acid dyes, because you need acid, like citric acid or vinegar or lemon juice, anything that's high acid, you put into the yarn, and then that will help the dye stick. Alright, and then I'm going to turn on my burners. I will be using 2 main colors. I am using Jacquard non-toxic acid dyes. This is color bright yellow, number 602, and hot fuchsia 620. I have 4 cups of water and a 1/2 teaspoon of yellow dye.
What are you making?
I am making my yarn yellow.
What?
I have a double burner pan that we have my shirt in here. I put it in with before it got hot so that it wouldn't felt. And then I also have 2 mini skeins for testing colors. I have it in 8 cups of water and some citric acid so that the yarn can absorb the citric acid before the dye so that it will hold the dye. Alright, so dipping in my yellow. Ooh, that's a pretty color. Add this to my pot. Now I have 4 cups of water. I'm going to start with 1/4 of a teaspoon of the pink because it's a much stronger color. And now I will test it with the yarn. I am going to go ahead and test the yellow in with the pink to see how the colors combine. This is what our sweater is going to look like, but more gradual. I think I want my pink less purpley, so I am going to go ahead and add it to the pot and add a little bit more water and some red and see if that evens it out a little bit. So this is Fire Red, number 618. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of it to this water so that we can see what a pink looks like without the fuchsia. So I did just a sprinkle. This is 1/8 of a teaspoon and I just barely tapped in a little bit of it. So it's not even it's just a tiny, I wouldn't even call it a pinch, 1/2 of a pinch. And a little bit. See, that is too light of a pink. We're gonna try again. I think I want somewhere in between. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this to my fuchsia and see what color that gives me. So it is in between those two, but it is a little bit more purpley. It is closer to what I want. I think if I add any more red, it will be too dark. So I think I'm gonna take out some out and add some water. That's not any lighter. Let's try that. Okay. Now we're gonna dip this into the yellow to see how that looks. That is beautiful. That's what I want. So I have the pink that I want. I have some extra dye, the leftover from the pink. I'll just dye some extra yarn in there so it won't be wasted. I want to make sure that my pot of yellow is the same temperature as my shirt so that it doesn't felt. We want it to be the same temperature, ideally. And any temperature change that we do, we want the shirt to be in it so that it is a slow, gradual temperature change, because that's how felting works, is the temperature changes too fast. All my temperatures are gonna be low so that it doesn't burn or simmer. I don't want it to simmer, I just want it to be hot. Now that those are about the same temperature, I will go ahead and dip the bottom of the sweater. Okay. So I want the bottom to be a stronger yellow, so I'm gonna just kind of hold it here for a little bit so that it can cook. Okay, so we're gonna let it sit like that for a minute. Okay, so we're gonna give it a little check. The water is still very yellow. Yeah, so we're gonna wait a little bit longer. Okay, so it's too hot for me to touch, so I'm gonna use these to squeeze out some of the water. Alright, that is keeping its color even when I squeeze out the water. It is still a very bright yellow. Alright, so I think we're ready to dip it in a little bit farther. Alright, usually you let it sit in the water until the water is clear, but I actually really like the way that this looks, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it out and set it in a steam pot. I'm gonna try to not let my white part touch the yellow part at all, because it will set into the white part with how hot it is in here. And then I'm going to put the lid on it. Okay, so we are going to see if the water is running clear, which it is. Okay, so now we're ready to dip the top into the pink. Try what, sweetie?
That's how to do it. What is that?
So
I am kidding. I don't want pink fingers.
I don't want to touch the yellow in case of getting it yucky, so I'm gonna cover it in plastic. Alright, so I covered the super dark yellow so that I can still dye the light yellow when I get there. And I want to make sure I'm getting it even across. I have 2 skeins of this fingering yarn that I'm going to prepare so that I can use the extra dye on them. These skeins are super washed, so I don't have to worry as much about temperature.
Mommy, that's just a lid.
So we have this yarn, the 2 skeins, in the acid water, and you can prepare them in this and then take them out and put them in a different thing, but I'm just gonna straight up just put the dye in here. So I'm gonna start with the lighter color, the yellow, and the yellow's already been used, so it's gonna be a light yellow. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna pour it on. I started on this side and it just bled all the way across because of how much water I have in here. So this is all of the pink that I took out to make the other pink lighter. So we're gonna go ahead and add it to this side. And this is what it looks like right now. It is just sitting on the counter, so it's not cooking. I'm gonna cook it after I'm done with what I'm doing right now. While I steam these, this will be cooking. We're gonna do another check where we are checking to see how much the sweater is holding the dye. So if I pinch this dark part, if it lightens, like it just did right there, then it's not ready. We don't want it this pink, we want it this pink. Once it is that dark pink, then we'll add the fade all the way up to the yellow, like overlapping with the yellow. And then we will set it in the steam pot probably. All right, so we're gonna get another check. Okay, that is much closer. I'm okay with it being a lighter pink, so we're just gonna leave it. All right, so now we're gonna dip the fade. Ouch, that's hot. We want it a little bit farther up. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna steam it. We're gonna wanna make sure that the yellow doesn't touch the pink. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it in the bag to help keep the yellow safe. Now we're gonna steam it for a bit. We've got this setting. It will need to set until the water runs clear. This is setting, the minis, and the sweater is setting. As soon as the water runs clear, I will take it off. I will do all of this behind the scenes, and then I will show you the washing process. So that took like 4 hours, maybe even longer. It took a long time and it's still not done. The pink is having a really hard time. The shirt is still running pink. The water is still running pink, so it is sitting in the steamer still a million years later. I'm gonna crochet because I like to crochet.
My sister got this out.
I really need to start making progress on the Christmas gifts. I did buy the fabric for one of them. Finally, it's the first one that I was done crocheting. I now have the fabric for it. I have 2 that are completely finished already. Well, one still needs edging, and then one that still needs to be sewn together, like sewn the crochet together, and then sewn on the sewing machine with the fabric.
Puff is out. Her's getting unfolded. Then her.
Okay. Let us sew some pieces together. I've got a whole bunch of pieces. I don't know what order they're supposed to be in, so I guess we'll figure it out as we go. So I'm going to attach this one and this one.
I have good dies. And have dies mean have good plans is salty plant. Okay, no, it's salty plant. But it's gone.
So I just attached on the white and green one.
Mommy. At.
Yeah, it's my crochet shirt.
Oh.
Now for the hardest part, letting it dry.
Oh.
I just want to do something with you.
Okay, what would you like to do?
Play a game.
What game?
No idea.
Those are your Legos?
Nice.
Okay, go ahead. So it's the end of the day. Everything that we worked on today, an overview of today. We dyed this. I finished the border of the Christmas gift and wrapped it. And I worked a little bit, here I'll show you, on that. On another Christmas gift. I just don't want to actually show you because it's a secret. And I made a little bit of progress on this. And that's everything that I did today. I am really happy with how much I got done. The dyeing took way longer than I anticipated just because of all the different steps. And then, I don't know, like I've dyed before, but it's been a while and the pink just had a hard time sticking. And so it took an extra few hours to just sit. It is still a little bit damp, but I'm going to go ahead and try it on because it is so cute. It is so drapey. I love how drapey it is. I love it. It turned out really well. I'll have to make another one of these because for being fingering weight, it worked up really fast, and also like because it's fingering weight, it's so drapey. Thank you for coming to my Vlogmas, and I will see you guys next time. Say Eden's Fun Crochet.
Eden's Fun Crochet.